Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and I'm here today and a couple of minutes late because I wanted to make sure that while you're watching this chat, which gets converted into a podcast if you want to recommend it, I wanted to make sure that you got a healing. So I have this new orchid next to me, and I wanted to ensure that you would be able to get the energy of it, that it would transfer to you during this chat. What, how can that help you? An orchid is a flower that is described as evangelist. Evangelist means good news. And you'll notice that in the last 20 years, 25 years, orchids have become very popular. Before, like 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, it was unusual for somebody to show up with an orchid as a gift to a party. And today, everybody can show up with an orchid and not feel embarrassed because nobody can get enough orchids in their lives. We need good news. Give me a second because I left a Mantrista movement music on with a video of my family so that they would be getting a healing the entire time. So give me a second, but you can start checking out the gold dress to see how you're doing. And then I'll be right back. Let's put something else on. You know why? I want to put this on too. Whoa. Okay, there you go with that third eye that you are so afraid of, where there are accusations having to do with it being on the dollar bill. You're very lucky it's on the dollar bill. There's a third eye has to do with wisdom, far reaching sight. Anybody that is into alternative metaphysics wants a very developed third eye, and it turns out that the superpowers that humans are scheduled to access now are in the third eye. So stop being so afraid of something just because you don't know about it, which brings me to the topic today. But before we do the topic today, yes, I know that my necklace is overdone for a chat that's very political and very business. And I'm wondering how much is it that I need to earn so that I can have somebody that can dress me, even though I probably would protest every step of the way. But I know that I'm not even remotely close to that point. So you're just going to have to tolerate the fact that I can't get my lipstick right, that my eyeliner looks different one eye from the other, that I'm wearing the same clothes over and over again, that I wear golf shirts when I don't play golf. You just have to tolerate that because I don't think it's that important. I think it's much more important that you have enough information to where you can make choices that are good for you, long term, big picture, not just tomorrow. The Buddha said that the basis for human anguish was ignorance, and ignorance is a lack of information. So today I want to talk about Puerto Rico, islanders, and indigenous peoples. And this is, of course, triggered by that very disrespectful joke that was said by somebody in the incredibly beautiful Trump rally. And obviously, I haven't looked, but I know that Trump must have said many times that he had nothing to do with that joke. But there is a lack of respect for people that don't look like modern people, that don't dress right, that don't eat the right foods. And now we're finding out those foods are killing us. So now we want the natural, that do things in a modern way. Until now everybody's turning against it. But until now, this modern way, which is killing our kids and killing us, was what we admired. And the people that didn't do that, we didn't admire. So let me start with islanders. I'm half Cuban. but I was born in Germany, so it's kind of like I had the some of the Cuban characteristics, but I didn't have the benefit of being an islander in the sense of I didn't have the element of water, which is so purifying, healing. Jesus Christ started his ministry with the element of water. I think he was with John. I'm not sure because I'm not a biblical person. But I'll just tell you a small story. Years ago, when I ran my business, the store, the bridal salon, whatever, and I would be near the desk, and a group of women would come in, and I'd say to somebody, they're islanders. And the person would say to me, how can you tell? They haven't even said anything. They're islanders. And then they would come to the desk, and they were islanders. They were either from the Keys, the lower Keys, not the upper Keys, Florida Keys, or they were from the Bahamas, but they were islanders. How could I tell? Because they had an energy about them that was light, airy, what Jesus Christ was looking for, not heavy, not depressed. And the beautiful thing about the islanders was that if we made a mistake in their order, in their dress for a wedding, where everybody gets hysterical if one hair is out of place. And you know what they would do if we made a mistake? They would say, "Oh darn, we're so sorry." And I'd say, "What do you mean sorry? We're the one that's sorry. We made the mistake." "Yeah, I know, but you didn't mean to. We're sorry." You want to try that here in the United States? People think you're nuts. Islanders. Puerto Rico's an island. Islanders. Let's go to the indigenous. We came to in the United States. We looked at the Indians and we went, dumb. And we claimed land. Wait a second. According to them, nobody owns the land. The land is the land. It's the spirit. It's it. Nobody owns it. We came and we claimed it. And then today we have the issue of now we don't want the Chinese to have the land, but we haven't been really nice to the land. We've been terrible, and now we're paying a consequence. Our food has all sorts of things in it. The land has all sorts of things in it. I live in Coconut Grove, and years ago they had to um, close the park because the park, they, of course, grass. Who wants grass? You could get grass stains. Oh my God, you have your kid on grass? They could get bitten by a bug. Can you imagine? So they put in artificial turf, and it turns out it was toxic. So they had to close the park for, I think it was a year, and try to get that toxicity out of the ground because it wasn't just the turf that was on the top, it was in the ground. Well, but we wouldn't want the kids to get bitten by a bug, and we would not want those grass stains. We don't want that. No, you don't want a lot of things. And you don't want what's really good for you, which is earth, which is dirt. Now, here it goes to where we don't really know if it's a conspiracy. I was going to close the drawer here, but I can't close the drawer because, see, this orchid, which I want you to benefit from, if I put it on the desk, you are not going to see it. So I had to open the drawer and put it inside the drawer. So obviously, I cannot close the door. I'm trying to give you earth. I'm trying to transfer that energy to you. That's what all of our mantrista music is about. It's all about the elements and frequencies and images of earth and water. So I forgot what I was going to say because I did my ADD tangent. The Lord's Prayer. Was it a conspiracy, what they did to us with the Lord's Prayer? Was it a conspiracy? You tell me. The most important line in the Lord's Prayer, especially today, is where it says, deliver us from evil. Okay, we need help, God, huh? Because we're victims. We're absolutely victims. Actually, that is not what the Lord's Prayer said in Aramaic. which is the language that it was written in. In Aramaic, it says, help us to be in the present, which means grounded, rooted, enough of the earth element, which we don't get in big cities. We don't get on airplanes. We don't get in our modern life, which is why I have a palm tree here for me, but also for you. And I have an orchid for you mainly, because for me, I'd put it up on the desk and it would be fine, but then you wouldn't get the benefit from it. So the Lord's Prayer is saying, you're not going to have an issue if you stay grounded. And those of us that are into this alternative stuff know that if your consciousness is fully into the bottom of your chakra system, which is in between your legs, if you're conscious, if you're fully there, which most people are not in modern life, you're not going to have with spirits. The deliverance from evil means deliverance from the really bad spirits, whose food is fire, radiation from your cell phones, from your all the rest of that. So the Lord's Prayer is saying, you need the earth element. And then you won't have to look to me. You can take care of yourself. You're going to be okay. And then it got translated into, we're victims, we need your help, dot, 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 dot. So why am I saying this in a chat that's called Puerto Rico, Islanders, and Indigenous? The Indigenous and the Islanders don't have that big issue because they're very much, I'm not saying every single one, and I'm not saying if they have a big city, but basically, and they have contact with life, with earth, with what Jesus Christ, I think he did the Lord's Prayer, but when I ask that question, nobody really knows that I know. I mean, I'm sure if I look it up, I can find it in 2 seconds. I haven't done that. The Lord's Prayer is saying, get yourself down on the ground. All these problems with global warming, yeah, I know global warming doesn't exist, everybody lies. There's a problem with the balance of elements on Earth. We don't have the right name for it, we don't understand it, fine, but there is a problem. We have totally disrespected the elements. Now, if you have enough of the elements, your personality is very different. ADD, lack of earth element. Okay? Autism, too much water element. Cancer, too much fire element. Spirits, not enough earth element. When you get people who live in natural settings, they are different from those of us that don't live in natural settings. I struggle. Thank God this place that I just moved to, I have a small patio. I got my hammock. I got a new hammock. I had the frame, and I spend a couple of hours a day on the hammock doing mantras. So I'm outside under big trees and feeling the wind on my skin. It's like unbelievably refreshing and for my health. And I remember my mother in law saying that for her, going to the beach was life. And I remember her sons laughing about that and saying, "Okay, okay, we'll set you up for a month at the beach," and they would. There was not a lack of generosity, but they that concept, like the beach is life, they didn't get it. So when you have enough contact with the elements, you are different. Let's If you have enough of the earth element, if you're balanced, you're not going to have too much of the fire, and you're not going to run around killing people because you can only kill people, hate people, etc. if you have too much fire. But the earth element and the water element will put out that fire. And they know that in Chinese medicine, which is why if you have cancer, which is from an excess of fire, the governments have had to admit that cannabis heals cancer cells miraculously. It's not a blankety blank miracle. It's application of information that is the basic for medicine on the planet, which is shamanism. So let's get back to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is a very evolved island. Hurricane Maria, by the way, was so strong because of black magic. Now, when I saw that, I said it in whispers. Oh my God, this black magic, and all everybody in Puerto Rico said, "Yeah, we know." We are multidimensional beings. The more spiritually, the more spiritual you are, and indigenous people and islanders are generally very spiritual. You don't look the same on the physical dimension. You're slower. And I'm not going to say which island this is, and it's not Puerto Rico, but it's very near Puerto Rico. I had intuitively picked up years ago that that island is their mission in this stage of human history is to be like stewardesses or stewards to help people into other dimensions. In other words, in the other dimensions, their spirits are so strong and their spirits have the intention of helping people to transition, not when they're in the process of dying physically, which we all at some point that becomes part of our life. Our physical body dies. No, it when and if there is a big happening on the planet and there's millions that die at a time, that island, their people are already in the other dimensions. It's their intention to escort people correctly into the other dimensions. Why is that important? Because the only reason that the devil has an army of people is because they didn't die properly. So dying properly is real important. And too many people die in trauma, such as if there's a nuclear war or a car accident. And when they die poorly, and you don't have a Buddhist monk who takes care of them because they're really good at that, they end up in the wrong place. They end up lost in a state of shock. And then the devil energy takes over. That's in the Bible. So, I'm not giving you a storyline. So we have an entire island, which is not Puerto Rico, which is ready to go. A lot of people on that island are very slow. They're intelligent, but if you ask them a question in the moment, there's a lot of hesitation. But it's because they have an awful lot of their consciousness not on the physical dimension and in the physical body. Here's the assemblage of bodies. Total left, you got the physical body. The blue body is your etheric, which is the electrical grid, which is your immune system. Then the next one is your astral emotional body, which is your spirit. So this particular island, which is not Puerto Rico, has each one of these bodies has a percentage of consciousness. So when you um okay, I know what I'm doing wrong. Give me 1 second. Okay, there we go. When you are going to die, you shift your consciousness completely out of your physical body. When you're in a coma, you shift your consciousness completely out of the physical body. And it goes into the other bodies, and eventually it leaves the second body, which is your immune system, and then it goes into your spirit body. You're supposed to have a certain amount of consciousness. I don't know the percentages, I don't know that anybody does, in each one of the bodies, depending upon your astrological sign, the country you're from, what your intentions are. You will have more or less consciousness in particular bodies. If you're very disassociated, like in the Lord's Prayer, then you're going to need help, but God's not going to come down because God already told you in the Lord's Prayer, you better have a connection to earth. If you are very disassociated, you don't have enough of the element of earth. So you're very much into your mind streams, you're into the mind, you're intellectual. And I just realized something. All these intellectuals that are running the country and that think that a university degree is so important. I have a university degree. Um, so does everybody in my family. Um, but to think that that's really important, they're not, maybe they're not the kind of people that we should have leading us. And then we go to Trump. Well, he's very mental, intellectual. Yeah, but guess what? Trump has a lot of golf shirts, I'm sure, and golf pants. God, those colors, they're so vivid. I haven't seen them on him, but the golf pants I know that are they got these really loud colors, kind of like happy. Well, that's the element of earth. Trump would not be who he is if he did not insist on playing golf. It's not the playing of the golf, it's the absorbing of the earth energy. What did they used to do in Europe when you would get sick decades ago? They would send you to a hospital that was in the country. And what did they do to you there? They would park you outdoors under the trees on the lawn all day long. They'd bring you in maybe for lunch. That was the healing when you were sick. And I'm talking physically sick. I'm not talking mentally sick. Okay? Physically sick. They knew that contact with the nature would heal them. So going back to when, depending on your situation, when you die, your consciousness just leaves your physical body. But sometimes when you're alive, your consciousness leaves your physical body, like when you're in a state of shock. Your consciousness is not a physical body, and you have to take the person by the elbow and kind of sit them down, like right after a car accident. And then there are certain people on the planet whose consciousness is more concentrated in their spirit bodies because they're doing a lot of spiritual things, such as this particular country whose name I'm not going to mention. So when you judge people, you really need to know what their intentions are, and you're going to have to be really careful that what you're judging is happening because they're trying to help you. Many years ago, and I have been frightened to say this, but what I don't need to be afraid of anybody because nobody pays my bills. Nobody even takes care of me. So, you know what? I don't care. Years ago, a very, very famous immigrant said to me, please tell me why I'm in this country. We were so much more comfortable in our country. And I said, I didn't know what it was going to be. I read it as a remote viewer, as a trained psychic with a really high accuracy rate. I looked at it and I said, you're here because you are here to help anchor an energy, a level of spirituality that this country needs because this country has its finger on that dang red button having to do with nuclear war. That button, you press it, nuclear bomb. And I was in shock because I certainly didn't expect that that would be the reason why her entire family and half her country had come over here. That, by the way, is one of the reasons there's so many Mexicans in the United States. And I don't really care if you stop listening to me, okay? Because when it comes to the other dimensions, all you guys that think that all of this is me, you need to be saved. Okay? You need to be saved. I'm not talking saved like the Christians and the Crusades. You need to be saved by your own lack of information, which is shamanism, which is the original medicine of the entire planet. So, people that are very, very spiritual can do an awful lot of fumbling on the physical dimension and not move as quickly because they have a proper amount of consciousness in each body. Okay? The intellectuals that are mentally right there and they have that sarcasm that is so, whoa, they are really good. Mm, this planet is in trouble spiritually. We better start honoring people that are very spiritual because believe you me, the intellectuals, the heads of corporation are not going to be able to, and are not even going to give you the time of day if things get really bad because they'll be too busy taking care of themselves. So you need to understand what it is that you are seeing. You know how great the energy is on the islands? Puerto Rico is one of the islands, Haiti, da da da. It's so great that when you go on a vacation there, you tell everybody about it. And you have more sex. Oh my God, no population collapse. No population collapse, more sex. But the people that keep that going, no respect. Mm-mm. It is a lack of information. It is a distortion of information. And it is very dangerous. The mind control programs, where they take a person and they have a certain IQ, and then they take them to this incredibly high IQ and they use them as if they were little machines, like a little ATM, getting information that is used for all of you guys. Do you know who they choose for those programs? Indians, Mexicans, indigenous families that have a history of being psychic. They don't choose university, guys. Are you kidding me? They don't have instincts. Now, the highest earning business people are very instinctive and intuitive. So, where does this creative genius come from? Also, artists. So, I'm not saying anything other than what I'm saying, that you really need to wake up, and that we all, and that includes me, we all need to stop judging and try to figure things out, because we don't have it figured out and we are into population collapse. So then the government should pay for everybody to be able to go a week, a year, or 2 weeks, every 6 months to an island, and there'd be more babies. That's a very good idea, because I'm sure that they're going to spend the money at universities and get these nice psychologists, and not psychiatrists, probably. It probably gets psychologists to figure it out. How could they get people more stimulated? And maybe they could do some coloring books, and who the heck knows what they're going to try to figure out to get people to have more sex. Why don't you just send them to the islands? And then I'm going to go and talk a bit, because I'm sending this message to her mother again. AOC. I don't know what her name is, but that's her name, AOC, the Congresswoman. What is the matter with her? We know what the matter with her is. You don't know what the matter with her is. Years ago, when she first went to Congress and I saw her, I said, she's not doing well. Look at her eyes. She, there's something called San Paku, and I'm going to write it, because when you sit across the table from your kids, you need to be conscious of this. Okay? San Pa. That's the name. You can look it up. And what it means is three whites. WHITE. You look at an eye, there's a white at the left and a white space on the right with the eye in the middle. But some people have white underneath the eye. That's sampaku. Some people have white at the top of the eye. That's sampaku. When they have both, you already know that person is crazy. It's like their eyeball is floating, and they look crazy, and they are crazy. They're very disconnected. So what does it mean when you have sampaku at the bottom, when you have white at the bottom, the two whites on the sides, and then at the bottom? You're very disconnected from the earth element, from reality. And then if you have white instead of at the bottom of the top, you are really disconnected. Both of those conditions mean that the person is very susceptible to a tragic ending. And we have several people in our history that we all know. One was Kennedy. He was Sampaku. tragic ending. And I don't remember who else. But if you look up Sanpaku, they will show you all the people that are very famous that you don't just die. You're generally, it's a tragic accident or you're assassinated when you're Sanpaku. So the problem with AOC is not that she's dumb as a rock. The problem with her is she's totally disconnected from reality, from the physical dimension. So years ago, when I first ran into her, when she was first on the news, I said, this can't be. So I said, we need to get a message to her mother. And I have a lot of followers. She's from Puerto Rico, a lot of followers in Puerto Rico. I said, I know you guys all know each other. Get the message to the mother and get her to the beach, get her to the parks, get her outdoors. And she got corrected. And I have a feeling that somebody did get that message to her. You know what? Get the message to the mother again, because she is not going to do well between being Sampaku and Trump winning. I don't, people who they're Sampaku do not, from what I can see and I've read it, there's not a lot out there, they don't kill themselves, but they die tragically. So am I saying AOC is going to die tragically? I'm saying what has been said for centuries. When your eyes look like that, there's a significant percentage that you're going to die tragically. So let's get the message to her. And which is what there's a movement in psychology is saying when somebody is not well, stop labeling them. Oh, they have this, and start asking, why did they get sick? We don't have a lot of time left. And on the other hand, we may have a lot of time left because the future is elastic and plastic. We don't have to end the way it would appear that the Mayans and the Bible said. It can be different because we create reality. And I can feel that there is a difference and there's an optimism. But we cannot ignore the multidimensionality of ourselves and of the planet and expect to do any better than we've done up till now, which has been really bad. Really, really bad. Catastrophes come to balance the elements. And they can kill many, many, many people and destroy entire cities. But apparently, when a catastrophe comes, that's what's necessary. I'm not talking about weather modification. I'm talking about what catastrophes have been through the centuries that now perhaps is not. Um, so I would like for you to look up the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic. And I should have had that clip. I actually need to get it up here. I have a video, but it's in Spanish. But you can look it up very easily and look up the line, deliver us from evil. It doesn't say that. It says, help us to be in the present. And the present means not disassociated, and not disassociated in shamanism and in metaphysics and in the New Age movement means root chakra. And there's somebody that discovered several years ago grounding. They did a whole movie on the novelty of grounding. And in Japan, they have something they call foresting. Foresting is that you go and you spend time in the forest and you get healed. It's embarrassing what modern people do not know. You think that the indigenous and Puerto Ricans don't know anything? Guess what, guys? It has to do with what dimensions you're talking about and what your intention is. Is your intention to be happy and to bring joy to people? Modern life doesn't. Islander life does. Like those islanders that would walk in the door of my business years ago, and I could tell their vibration. Why can't we have that? Oh, because it's not admired. Our values need to change, and it will only change when we have enough information, which is why we are here. News from other dimensions. And remember, my training was by the government. Well, the government facilitated my training with people that were indigenous. What a novel concept. The shaman that I lived with lived in a stone hut, no running water, no electricity. He knew how to do magic. Do you know how to do magic? No. 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 Well, that's what we're supposed to be doing now. Well, you're not going to learn it in a big city. And you're not going to learn it disrespecting the requirements for being able to do magic. Most of the people that do magic do not live in cities. They don't even live in towns. They live in the elements. You want superpowers? Well, the way we're getting superpowers now, and we see them in the video games, etc., everybody's killing everybody. They're defending the planet, but they're still killing everybody. How about some magic that's a little bit more fun than that? And that has more to do with what would be important to you, such as somebody showing up with a disease and it being taken care of by the end of the day because you understood which element was unbalanced and everybody pitched in and did the mantra, directed it towards the person, it got cleared. That's the kind of magic you should be looking for. You are not going to find it when you continue to make fun of and look down on the people that are connected to what Jesus Christ would have wanted you to know. Jesus Christ, all of his stuff, it was not indoors. It was outdoors. And the big stuff happened in caves. That's the maximum of the earth element. The Torah, no. What is the Torah? No. That other book, Zohar, Zohar, which is the Kabbalistic book of the Jews, that was written inside a cave. So caves are the maximum of the earth element. And a lot of stuff that happened to Jesus happened inside caves, but not because there wasn't little buildings. Ah, so I have talked a lot, but this is important. And anytime you have a problem, you're supposed to ask, why did I need this problem? So, why did I need to hear this today? That unfortunate joke that obviously reflects on the comedian and does not reflect on the president. And if it did at any point, believe me, after this, it doesn't. It's an opportunity for me to say, you need to pay attention to what you're valuing, what you're spending your money on, what you're highlighting. If you have population collapse, why don't we look at having people spend more time at the beach, spend more time in lakes? I think you can get a certain extent of that in swimming pools. You can get it in our Mantrista music videos because it transfers even from a photograph. Let's get that information out to people. But you got to learn it first yourself. And for that, you cannot go to the prostituted version of what Christ tried to give. And I'm not trying to get into this whole Christian Christ Catholic Church thing, but I don't really know enough about the inside stuff in terms of Buddhism to be able to throw that at you. All I can tell you is that they are very landed and grounded. And I'm also going to say that once the young monks started to come, that I would bring them in to do the mandalas with their individual cell phones, they became different. They were not the same. They were still great, but they were not the same. So our modern technology is pulling us away from what it is that we need. And just think about your children. How happy are your kids? Don't give me a break. How happy are your kids? And I'll leave you with a task. Pay attention to everybody's eyes. Pay attention and understand. By the way, it's easy to fix. You don't have enough of the earth element. And yet, the people that have the earth element you think are less than you because they're slower in the physical dimension and their values are also very different. So, I'm not sure that I have the patience to do the mantra, but you know what? That means I need the mantra. So let's go ahead and do a mantra. And we're going to do a music that I rarely put on here, which is the power of the mantritas, which is indigenous feet and drums. It's great. And the mantra, I think everybody's exhausted. Let's do that. Because the earth energy, by the way, if you're exhausted, you don't have enough of the earth energy. So let's do that. Even though I am exhausted, I love and accept myself. Okay? And we're going to do 10 minutes. I have 10 minutes before my next chat. How's that? I'm going to put the white dress up again. See if you see it more. Oh, wow. A lot brighter. Okay, so that is it for today. Multidimensionality is everything. We are now a galactic planet. We are not protected by the Great White Brotherhood or anybody else. We have to play with the big boys. In order to play with the big boys, we have to be really grounded and rooted. If not, it's very easy to knock us off our feet. So getting the issues surrounding people whose lives are more simple and don't react quite as quickly on the physical dimension, understanding the whole distribution of consciousness within our different energy bodies is very important. And honoring what we should be honoring rather than looking down on something that is actually there to help us. Okay? Love you a lot. We will see you, I think, again tomorrow.